one conversation with the foreign minister. In my view, he doesn't understand the threat. Right? It was a conversation I had in a committee meeting. I can't comment on it, but he just doesn't understand it. And he can keep saying what he wants. But in my view, the government is not understanding the actual threat from China. And a lot of commentators say this.
Because, when I was a kid, I had a chat with Dr. Abdul Kalam on rocket science. He didn't understand it. I did. I can't tell you the details because they're all classified top secret. Their work product. But, Abdul Kalam did not understand rocket science the way I do. Even though I'm not a science student. I haven't done science beyond 10th.
नमस्ते, स्वागत है आपका इंडिया दिस वीक के नए एपिसोड में और मैं हूं आमना बेगम अंसारी.
Hi, this is Khalid and welcome to yet another episode of India This Week. We are joined yet again by our favorite Abhijit Iyer Mitra, who's on fire since yesterday on IBN and other news channels. He's very angry, and we want to ask the angry young man, why is he so angry? The topic of discussion today, of course, is about Rahul Gandhi's speech, discussions, closed room discussion on democracy in Cambridge. Rahul, Abhijit, there was this viral thread of you, apart from all the fire that you're breathing on the news channels, in which you start off with point number one. I want you to elaborate that. You say this audience isn't high-powered executives or anything. It's just some students with zero impact in India. And that you use a very strong word for desperation. Could you elaborate that point for the viewers?
So there are two things out there. First, remember there is a hierarchy in these things. Harvard, for example, Harvard School of Economics is considered elite. Harvard Business School is meant for those chichoras where you make the business. जैसे हमारा ये coaching institute होता है ना, उसी की तरह Harvard Business School है. Harvard School of Economics and people like that look down on the Harvard Business School as, this is the altu faltus. What is JBS? Exactly. That's the point. So, first of all, you go to lecture at this judge business school. Then, judge business school is about as this thing. Remember, his mom also used to claim that she was from Cambridge or Oxford or something. It turned out that it was something quite different. It was an English language learning center or something like that. So, first of all, he goes there. He wears a suit for that event. And you have to put it in context of what he's missing out on. Right? Which is the G20 Foreign Ministers Summit in Delhi, where for the first time since the invasion of Ukraine began, the Americans and Russians have actually sat face to face in a room. Their foreign ministers have met. You remember they refused to meet during the last Heads of Government Summit in Indonesia. In fact, most of the people wanted Russia uninvited to that, but then Putin didn't attend, and Blinken and Lavrov never met, even on the sidelines of that. And they went around meeting all and sundry. I was down with a viral fever, but even I got invited to some parties and things like that. Okay? Imagine if I am getting invited to parties with G20 ka foreign ministers, but nobody wanted to meet you. Why would they meet you? You're just another member of parliament. You're not even the leader of the opposition, where when he met with Macron, you remember he was still leader of the opposition at that point of time. Ab to wo bhi nahi bacha, right? So why would anybody want to meet you? So, in order to hide his irrelevance, he's run off. This is literally like you give up your Bharat Ratna ceremony, but it's not even that. This is like, मैं knitting class में जाऊंगा पर अपने भारत रत्न ceremony के लिए नहीं जाऊंगा. So when you add the two together, it makes particularly galling this thing. He didn't meet any UK ministers. He then goes to, they claim UK Parliament. Now, you know those things in UK Parliament, any member of Parliament can rent them out. They don't even rent them out. They can book them by the hour to have a thing in. And at most you saw what, 4 or 5 MPs. The rest of them were all altu faltu academics and things like that. Natasha Kaul, your ex-girlfriend, I have it on very good authority, was out there, right? So you know, ऐसे ऐसे लोगों को बुलाया है. 4-5 MP थे उसमें. What have you gone to London for? You know, it's really pathetic.
He's gone to London to save the idea of India. Amna, your question.
अभिजीत, राहुल गांधी ने ये भी बोला कि डेमोक्रेसी और इंस्टीट्यूशन जो है इंडिया में वो डेड हो गए हैं और हमें रिजीम चेंज करने की जरूरत है. बट जो इम्पोर्टेंट बात वहां पे है वो है कि दिस इजंट जस्ट एन इंडियन बैटल. सो बेसिकली यहाँ पर ऐसा लगता है कि वो फॉरेन पावर्स को बोल रहे हैं इंटरफेरेंस करने के लिए विद इन द इंडिया. तो इसके बारे में अब हमें थोड़ा समझाइए कि ये इतना खतरनाक क्यों है. मतलब हमें तो ये बहुत नॉर्मल सेंटेंस लग रहा है बट ये बहुत खतरनाक भी हो सकता है.
Which are the United States, European countries, seem to just be oblivious that a huge chunk of the democratic model has come undone, right? Which is a real problem. With regards to, and frankly, the opposition is fighting that battle, right? And it's not just an Indian battle. It's actually a much more important battle because it's a battle for a huge part of the democratic people on this planet. As I said, we have placed, the opposition is placed.
जी देखिए, जब तक ये हिंदुस्तान को बदनाम करें बाहर, वो उनका हक बनता है. मैं ये नहीं मानता हूं कि ऐसा रूल नहीं है. ठीक है, इंदिरा गांधी ने नहीं किया होगा, वो दूसरी बात है. But you know, if you read Article 19 of the Constitution, which is the freedom of expression, this thing, वो ये नहीं बोलता है कि आपका freedom of expression बस इंडिया में guaranteed है और अगर आप बाहर जाके बात करेंगे वो guaranteed नहीं है. आपका freedom of expression हर जगह बनता है. इसमें प्रॉब्लम क्या था? इसने बोला कि look who are डेमोक्रेसी की सुरक्षा कौन करता है? अमेरिका और वेस्ट. और वो क्यों चुप है? फिर उन्होंने बोला ये बस भारत की लड़ाई नहीं है. अब मैं मानता हूं कि राहुल जी थोड़े घोंचू हैं, थोड़े दिमाग के आलसी हैं, पर फिर भी उनको पता नहीं है क्या कि वो अमेरिका और वेस्ट ने क्या तबाही मचा की रखी है डेमोक्रेसी के नाम पे. कोसोवो में क्या तबाही मचाई थी, सीरिया में क्या तबाही मचाए रखा है, लिबिया में क्या तबाही मचा के रखा है, इराक में क्या तबाही मचा के रखा है, सब भूल गए. और फिर आप लफ्ज क्या इस्तेमाल करते हैं? ये इंडिया की लड़ाई नहीं है. He could have used a lot of words. लड़ाई शब्द क्यों इस्तेमाल किया? He could have said this isn't just India's struggle. He said this is not just India's battle. संघर्ष और युद्ध दो बहुत अलग चीज होती है. उन्होंने ये नहीं बोला कि ये हमारा संघर्ष है, उन्होंने बोला ये हमारा युद्ध है. So this boy is extremely dangerous. नॉर्मली मैं इनके स्पीच देखता नहीं. मैं क्यों इनका स्पीच देखने लगा कि उस दिन मेरा YouTube का जो व्यू लिस्ट था वो खत्म हो गया था. ठीक है, मैं बस कुकिंग वीडियो देखता हूँ. वो जायका दिल्ली 6 का बहुत अच्छा, वो जामा मस्जिद की एक भाभी हैं, वो बहुत अच्छा ये सिखाती हैं बिरयानी बनाना, शिरयानी बनाना, वो देखता हूँ मैं. और फिर थोड़ी हिस्ट्री चैनल्स देखता हूँ मैं. वो सब खत्म हो गया था. तीसरा चीज जो मैं देखता हूँ कॉमेडी था, उसमें ये शायद आ गया होगा, तो मैंने फिर क्लिक किया. तो मैंने सोचा ये कॉमेडी ही होगा. मोस्टली तो मैं हंस रहा था टिल वी गॉट टू दैट पार्ट.
Yeah.
अभिजीत ऑल्सो फैक्चुअली ये कितना गलत है, बिकॉज जब इन्होंने ये स्टेटमेंट कहा कि डेमोक्रेसी इज डेड इन इंडिया, उसी हफ्ते इनफैक्ट 3-4 डेज बिफोर दैट नॉर्थ ईस्ट के 3 स्टेट्स के रिजल्ट्स आए जहां डेमोक्रेटिकली इलेक्शंस हुए, और उसमें जो 2 बड़े स्टेट्स के विनर्स थे वो वहां के रीजनल पार्टीज थे, जो नंबर 2 पे बीजेपी आई थी, उन्होंने अलाई किया था। इसके अलावा ऐसे इंडिया में 10 स्टेट्स है, चाहे वो वेस्ट बंगाल हो, चाहे वो आंध्र प्रदेश में सरकारें हो, या तेलंगाना में हो, दिल्ली में हो, जो नॉन बीजेपी पार्टीज की है, चाहे वो ओडिशा में हो। तो ये तो, और सबसे बड़ी बात कि कांग्रेस के 4 स्टेट्स तक में उनकी सरकारें हैं। तो डेमोक्रेसी कैसे डेड है, वो भी काफी लाफेबल चीज है, राइट? बिकॉज फिर आप क्या कह रहे हैं कि डेमोक्रेसी सिर्फ उन्हीं स्टेट्स में डेड है जहां बीजेपी है, उनमें नहीं है जहां कांग्रेस या कोई और रीजनल पार्टी?
Basically, that is his argument. But going by his argument, if I give you my view of democracy, democracy उस दिन मरा था हिंदुस्तान में। दूसरा इमरजेंसी जाग उठा था हिंदुस्तान में जब ओडिशा पुलिस पहली बार दिल्ली पहुंची मेरे को अरेस्ट करने के लिए। और फिर पूरा तानाशाही हो गया हिंदुस्तान में जब ओडिशा स्टेट में मेरे को अरेस्ट किया गया। उस दिन भारत नाज़ी भारत हो गया। Now, this is a very subjective point of view. ठीक है, मैं इलेक्शन जीतूंगा तो डेमोक्रेसी की विजय है, मैं इलेक्शन हारूंगा तो तानाशाही की विजय है। सुप्रीम कोर्ट वही जज वो बोलेगा जो मैं उनसे बोलना चाहता हूं। बहुत अच्छी बात है। वो नूपुर शर्मा के बारे में जिसने बोला था, वो सूर्यकांत, उसके पहले दिन या 2 दिन पहले उसने कोई और जजमेंट दे रखा था किसी और चीज पे, और सब स्क्रोल वायर सब आए, इस देश में पूरा तानाशाही है, इंस्टीट्यूशन करप्ट हो गया, ये हो गया, वो हो गया। फिर नूपुर शर्मा के बारे में जब उसने वो जो बका तो क्या जस्टिस हो गया है, बहुत अच्छा हुआ है। मजे की बात है यार, ये कहां का डेमोक्रेसी हुआ? Then they are quoting some VDEM. Some VDEM has claimed we are the 10th most autocratizing, and we've been classed as an electoral autocracy. Now, I want you to check what democracy is. Rule of the people. Bas. Okay. Usme rule of law, ye sab, it doesn't actually come. Because we are not the democracy of India. We are the Republic of India. We have a democratic process every 5 years. So, now Sweden and this institute there have their own view of democracy and what constitutes true representation of the people and this and that and blah, blah, blah. Well, buddy, not really happening. They don't classify France as an autocracy, but France cracks down on religious dress in public harsher than any other country around. Right? Why? So, basically, this works out this way. I will categorize you. If I don't understand your categorization, or if your categorization doesn't use the idioms that I need to hear, or if there's sufficient, they say, first of all, and this is the great contradiction out there, they say there is reduced religious freedoms, which is one of the things that they categorize as this thing. And the census collected for that, the statistics collected from that is newspapers. But then they also claim that it is press freedom has reduced out there because of all of this. It doesn't make sense, How is a press reporting an increase in suppression of religious freedoms if it is actually being crushed? Right? I mean, cranial rectal inversion syndrome. So what do you do? But it is what it is.
On that paradox, Amna, your next question?
मेरा क्वेश्चन थोड़ा अलग है अभी। मैं स्पीच पे नहीं जाकर के थोड़ा टेक्निकल बात पूछना चाह रही थी कि डेमोक्रेसी में रिपब्लिक जो होती है वो चूज करती है, लोग चूज करते हैं अपने पॉलिटिकल पार्टी को। बट डेमोक्रेसी एक ऐसा भी टूल है जहाँ पे लाइक मुस्लिम ब्रदरहुड जैसे लोग भी पावर में आ सकते हैं, या नाजी जैसे भी लोग पावर में आए हैं, तो हम उस पे भी डिस्कशन करते हैं। तो यहाँ पे जो राहुल गांधी कुछ और चीजें बोल रहे हैं, लाइक आरएसएस एक सीक्रेट सोसाइटी है जो बहुत लाफेबल है, लेकिन उन्होंने आरएसएस को मुस्लिम ब्रदरहुड से कंपेयर किया है। सो इवन वो एक पॉलिटिकल पार्टी है जो एफिलेटेड है आरएसएस से, वो आ रही है डेमोक्रेसी के थ्रू आ रही है, लेकिन अगर राहुल गांधी का कहना ये है कि वो एक ऐसी पॉलिटिकल आइडियोलॉजी को रिप्रेजेंट करती है विच इज प्रॉब्लमैटिक, मुझे लगता है कि हमें वहां पे थोड़ा जाकर के बात करनी चाहिए। तो अभिजीत, आप कैसे देखते हैं इस पूरे आर्ग्यूमेंट को?
तो देखिए, इसमें बहुत बड़ी फ्लॉ क्या है कि पहले हम रिपब्लिक हैं, हम डेमोक्रेसी नहीं है। दुनिया में शायद बस एक ही डेमोक्रेसी है, वो है स्विट्जरलैंड, जहां पे अगर 10,000 लोग असहमत हैं किसी गवर्नमेंट डिसीजन से, वो फिर रेफरेंडम के लिए मांग सकते हैं। 10,000 सिग्नेचर चाहिए होते हैं, ठीक है। बाकी का क्या होता है, सिविल कंसल्टेशन ये सब होता है। जो इंटरेस्टेड है वो आके फिर उस पे बात करते हैं। बट आई डोंट थिंक दैट इज पर्टिकुलरली इंटेलिजेंट और यूजफुल। ओके, दूसरी बात रही तो हम रिपब्लिक हैं, टेक्निकली देयर आर नो डेमोक्रेसीज इन द वर्ल्ड, देयर आर रिपब्लिक्स। बट आई बात की आरएसएस मुस्लिम ब्रदरहुड है। मुस्लिम ब्रदरहुड का दावा क्या है? वन मैन, वन वोट, वन टाइम ओनली। हर मर्द, औरत नहीं, हर मर्द एक बार वोट डालेगा, एक बार, क्योंकि उसके बाद खुदा का राज धरती पे होगा और हम खुदा के इंटरप्रेटर हैं, और खुदा के लफ्ज पे आप टिप्पणी नहीं कर सकते, ठीक है ना? Where does the RSS say this? Have they postponed elections? Have they not held elections? I mean, I know the Congress keeps losing elections, but you'd think that एक कहानी है ना वो लेबरर की, वो अपने सूरजकुंड मेले में गया था, बेचारा आया था कहीं रोहतक से, जाट लड़का। रात को वो उसने उधर ही बिताया, वो स्टॉल्स के बाहर, और किसी ने उसका कंबल चोरी कर लिया। उसने निर्णय ले लिया कि पूरा सूरजकुंड मेला ही रचा गया था उसके कंबल को चोरी करने की। तो ये उसकी तरह होता है। एवरीथिंग इज, ही सो सेल्फ अब्सॉर्ब्ड, it's just scary. It shows you the level of delusion he's under. अब क्या करेंगे? What do we do? I mean, realistically, you tell me, what do we do? I mean, if he thinks RSS is terrorist, there is a truth to his belief that they are terrorists and autocrats and Nazis and fascists. But sometimes in my dreams, I also think I'm the king of the world, that I've replaced Modi as prime minister and I've replaced Draupadi Murmu as president, and I'm the first dictator general of India. And I've renamed Delhi as Abhijitopolis. I've renamed Kolkata as Abhijitpur. I've renamed Madras as Abhijitsville. I've renamed Bombay as Abhijit's town. And the currency is named after my mother. You pay 20 Chandralekhas for one mango. Okay. And the Gurgaon and Noida have been renamed after my dogs, Aparajita and Advait. Okay. Now, I can have these dreams, but when I start talking about them publicly, you start suspecting, that there is something not really mentally right with this guy. Look, I honestly don't know what to do with this guy. Normally, have you ever seen me go berserk over him? What triggered me was him calling for the foreign interventions. Other than that, look, he's just a sad, pathetic joke. There's nothing you can do about it. He's truly pathetic.
Abhijit, another thing I wanted to get your perspective on, again, this thing he's repeated a lot of time, and he repeated this in Cambridge as well with his discussion with the journalist there, Danish Khan, where he said Dr. S. Jaishankar, who's an old hand at China, has been posted there before he became the foreign affairs minister, spent decades dealing with them. He said he doesn't understand the Chinese threat, and he said, I just spoke to him once, I cannot tell you the details, and he doesn't understand it. Fair enough, he can put his view. But the thing is, Rahul Gandhi did not tell us, the Aam Aadmi, that what exactly is the threat which Jaishankar, the top intelligence of India, is not getting it, but he's getting it. So, what is your perspective on that when he dismisses Mr. Jaishankar's understanding of the issue?
See, I honestly don't know. Because, when I was a kid, I had a chat with Dr. Abdul Kalam on rocket science. He didn't understand it. I did. I can't tell you the details because they're all classified top secret. Their work product. But, Abdul Kalam did not understand rocket science the way I do. Even though I'm not a science student. I haven't done science beyond 10th.
Which is great humor, but a little, if you could give a serious, because Owaisi,
But
other
see,
opposition leaders are taking this position.
But see, the problem is, I can't give you a serious answer. This is literally, it's such a comedy. There's a lot of things you can accuse Jaishankar of. Okay, he hasn't brought in the systemic reforms and all of that. He hasn't expanded the foreign service. He hasn't brought in through career training and all of that. But not in my wildest dreams would I say he doesn't understand foreign policy and I understand it better than him. इसमें commentary का बचा क्या है, boss?
What I want to understand is because even likes of Owaisi have been taking this position that the ruling government is lying to the people that lots of acres of land of India have been captured by the Chinese army in the last 2 years. So someone with you who's a geopolitical expert, what is the claim that the ruling party is making? What are the claims of the opposition?
I think, look, I think again, you have to go back to that series of articles that I did with satellite imagery. Going back to imagery for 2008 or 9, which is the oldest publicly available satellite imagery that we have, showing you that at least starting from 2014, there hasn't been any land lost. Okay. Now, we've put the photos out there. And they don't accept photos. When there were no photos like the Balakot strike, they say photo दिखाओ. जब हम photo दिखाते हैं, they pretend कि photo ही नहीं है. हमारे hand-drawn maps are better than your photos. भाई हमने दिखाया है 2008 में क्या था, 2014 में क्या था, 2000 see we restricted 2014 to 2019 was it 2020. That is when we restricted our time frame too, because what the Congress was trying to do was, you remember Shyam Saran, he had actually done a lot of mountaineering and he wrote this report on how during Congress rule some 40,000 square kilometers of territory were lost. And then he had to withdraw that report. And somehow I believe that they were trying to foist that loss of 40,000 acres onto the BJP so that they will not be blamed for it. Okay, I think this is all about that. Which is why they never showed us photography. We were the ones showing photography. They weren't showing photography. They didn't want to talk about when the moment we'd say this is the position in 2014 and 2020, 2020, they'd say, that means you've given up all the land that was lost before 2014. You've signed it off. You never signed it off. We just didn't. Period. Okay. So, I mean, what do you do, boss? I mean, this is like, constant shifting goalposts. It's like, there's no way you can win an argument with these guys. Because when you nail them, it's something else.
Amna, you got a question?
अभिजीत, आपके ही थ्रेड में आपने एक बहुत अच्छी बात लिखी है कि जहाँ पे राहुल गांधी कंप्लेन कर रहे हैं कि लिसन एबिलिटी जो है लिसन करने की, सुनने की क्षमता ही हिंदुस्तान में खत्म हो गई है. एट द सेम टाइम जब दानिश जी उनसे यही क्वेश्चन करते हैं कि ये कोई ऐसा नहीं कि 9 साल में कुछ प्रॉब्लम हुए हैं, जो भी आप इशू की बात कर रहे हैं वो इंडिया में हमेशा से रहा है, तो उनकी खुद की सुनने की क्षमता गायब हो जा रही है. साथ में जब उनके ही फॉलोवर बोल रहे हैं कि इंदिरा गांधी जी ने बोला था कि मैं कभी भी फॉरेन के लैंड पर जाके इंडिया की बुराई नहीं करूंगी, तो वहां पर भी वो उसी ट्रेड को मैनिफेस्ट कर रहे हैं जो जिसकी वो शिकायत कर रहे हैं। तो आप इसको किस तरह से देखते हैं? कुछ प्रॉब्लम है या इनको समझ ही नहीं आता है कि वो क्या बात कर रहे हैं?
Hand over India's wealth to 3, 4, 5 people. I mean, we've seen this before also.
But that's not something that has just come out in the last 9 years. It's not something which is new. There is a historicity to anything. So
No, what is
in a
not
sense, can we say that it's something which has just started?
No, what is something that is
silencing the media?
Absolutely. I mean, it has never ever been done at the scale that it's being done. There were periods when there were aberrations, but this is full-scale attack on the institutional structure. This has never been seen in modern India before. It's completely different.
I mean, politics is...
Mr. Gandhi, my name is Suresh
Yeah,
Gupta,
absolutely.
New World newspaper. I'm settled in London since 1961. And I knew your grandmother, Mrs. Indira Gandhi, through Bal Sahyog in India.
Okay.
Because I was working from 58 to 61 for All India Radio. And then your great-grandfather, Pandit Nehru, through Bharat Yuva Samaj.
You met him?
Yes, I met him. I used to go to Trimurti House to get their signatures, etc.
Okay.
Because I had a bicycle, and they were just near All India Radio, all these organizations.
So what was your experience in meeting him? What did you think?
Pandit Nehru was a great man. I always touched his feet, and he always blessed me. Mrs. Gandhi, your grandmother, was like an elder sister to me. She helped me a great deal, and she was a wonderful woman. When she came here in a press conference in London, after being imprisoned by Morarji Desai, a journalist asked her, "What is your experience of prison in India?" And she said, "I don't want to talk anything bad about India in this conference. Now you are being constantly attacked in the Indian media for your Cambridge lecture. I hope that you will take some lesson from what Mrs. Indira Gandhi said, because I am your well-wisher, and I like to see you become Prime Minister of
What's
India
your
one day."
question?
There is no question.
So my question
What's your
is...
question?
Yeah, my
There is no
question
question.
is...
Please ask your question, otherwise...
Yeah. In 9 years that BJP has...
पर आमना जी, ये तो सब कांग्रेस वाले पिछले 7-8 साल से बोले जा रहे हैं कि लड़का सुनता नहीं। आप देख लीजिए, एक सामुदायिक मंच पे अगर वो इतना इंटॉलरेंट हैं, जब वो दानिश ने बहुत साफ साफ पूछा था, ही इज एक्चुअली अ वेरी गुड मॉडरेटर. He did to Rahul what Arnab did to Rahul in 2014, which has allowed him to hang by his own noose. उसने बोला था, देखो ये 9 साल का नहीं है, नहीं, एक दो एबरेशंस थे, पर जो अभी हो रहा है वो वैसे नहीं हुआ है. इमरजेंसी क्या था भाई? तुमने खुद, तुम्हारी सरकार के टाइम ये सब शिवरूर का ट्विटर अकाउंट सब बंद करने, कंचन गुप्ता शिवरूर का ट्विटर को ये दिया था ना कि इनका ट्विटर अकाउंट बंद करो करके. वो क्या था? आपके टाइम पे भी हमको याद है कि 10,000 एंटी न्यूक्लियर एक्टिविस्ट को कुडंगुलम न्यूक्लियर रिएक्टर के बाहर मार के उन पे सेडिशन केस लगाया गया था, याद है? वो अच्छा था. they were in the wrong. I mean, what the government did was a good thing out there. These people had no democratic mandate to stop the will of the majority. पर आपने किया था ना? You look at the number of cases filed by Congress governments against journalists. आनंद ने तो पूरा थ्रेड करके रखा है ना इसके बारे में. ये बंदा अपने ही ये में रहता है. फिर जब वो बुढ़े अंकल ने सवाल पूछा था, जब वो नेहरू की बात कर रहा था और इंदिरा गांधी की बात कर रहा था, बहुत इंटरेस्टेडली वापस राहुल जी सवाल पूछ रहे थे. अच्छा, नहीं, बोलने दो. हाँ, आपको कैसा लगा? हाँ. पर जैसे ही वो गूगली लास्ट में आया, look how mean spirit is. There is no question. He's just confirmed publicly what the Congress has been telling us privately for a very long time. Even when the Congress takes a decision, वो क्या करता है? वो बोलता है, हाँ, पर मेरी माय इनर वॉइस ने कुछ और बोला है तो लास्ट मिनट में मैंने चेंज कर दिया और जो करना है करूंगा। और कोई भी कांग्रेस में फिर उसके बाद कुछ नहीं कर सकता है। What do you do? You know, at this point, I do agree on one thing. Democracy is not healthy in India because India does not have a good opposition. And for India to have democracy is always better served with a strong opposition. But for there to be a strong opposition, Rahul Gandhi needs to go. The biggest hindrance to a strong opposition is not Narendra Modi. The biggest hindrance to democracy in India is not Narendra Modi, it's Rahul Gandhi. As long as you have a joker as the head of the Congress party, you cannot have healthy democracy in this country.
Abhijit, you speak about this man standing behind him in one of the pictures that you shared, and you say he's a Kamal Munir, a Pakistani, who serves as a pro vice chancellor of JBS. Just being a Pakistani, or is he involved with the Pakistani state? Is that what your problem and contention is?
Yeah, as a rule, if there's a Pakistani or a Chinese person in the room, I do not slam my country. Is there? But see, this is an ethical question, and ethics and morality are nebulous. I personally have a huge issue with it, but I don't generalize it. That was just me. Unlike, say, the violation of his oath of office, of his parliamentary oath to uphold the sovereignty of India, which he violated. With Kamal Munir, for me, it's it's one thing for a journalist to do it. I don't do it. I would never do that, not with a Pakistani or a Chinese person in the room. I would have a different conversation if there was a Pakistani or a Chinese person in the room. But this is a very personalized thing. That was just me and my sense of what is appropriate or not. If he doesn't have it, great. But it's really sad that this is how a member of parliament behaves. It's a bit like an American going and shitting on America with a Russian in the room or a Chinese person in the room.
Lastly, I have a question. Maybe Amna, you want to have a question after that, but this is for both of you. One argument which I saw since yesterday, where a lot of BJP spokespersons said that you can't go to a foreign country and defame India. In that, I did agree with Raga, where he said that Prime Minister Modi has also done it, and there were speeches which Congress handles shared where Prime Minister said 70 years mein kuch nahi hua, one used to be called to be ashamed of it. That's his freedom of speech. Necessarily, I don't agree with that, not in good taste. And what Raga said was that
Look, I don't even believe in good taste or not. My only thing is, personally, I will not do it with a Pakistani or a Chinese person in the room.
Right.
I have no issues with Raga going. Tell me, this is not the first time Raga is doing it.
Right.
He's done it several times before. But have you ever seen me get animated over it?
No, of course. No, that's
BJP
fine.
gets animated over it. I don't, because, I believe you should. I think, you should. It's very healthy to healthily criticize your country or even unhealthily criticize your country abroad. I don't think there's any obligation on you to not do that.
Right.
Okay. The issue, the only legal issue I have in all of this is a violation of parliamentary oath calling for external intervention into India.
Sure.
The rest of it, I really don't care about. On an ethical and moral dimension, I would have an issue doing this in front of, I wouldn't do it. Let's put it that way.
Right. No, exactly. And why I disagreed with the argument by BJP spokespersons was because Prime Minister Modi has also done it. In my book, neither he nor this guy should have done it. So at least on that case, I don't think so Raga was wrong. What do you see, Amna? I mean, neither Prime Minister Modi in the past should have done it in London, nor Raga doing it now in London.
No, again, I mean, I don't think we should... मोदी ने किया तो मोदी ने किया, रागा ने किया तो रागा ने किया, नो प्रॉब्लम. मेरा तो कोई, I mean, it doesn't animate me.
यार पता नहीं पिछले जन्म में क्या पाप किया था, हिंदुस्तान में पैदा हुए. ये कोई देश है?
आमना जी,
जहां तक मुझे लगता है, I see it as they're trying to attack not India but opposite political party. Basically, they're trying to say they are not doing good work for the India. So, but the way you put it, that's very important. अगर आप ऐसे पुट करते हो जहाँ पे पूरा इंडिया डिमीन होता है, वहां बहुत बड़ी प्रॉब्लम है। एंड इस पूरे स्पीच में ठीक है, आई गेट इट, आई थिंक it should not be a big issue if you are criticizing anything about India out of the India, but the moment you say that the battle, it's not only Indian battle, that is the line for me. Like, it is clearly asking for like foreign intervention, and this is the worst thing one can do to the nation, knowingly कि वेस्टर्न कंट्री ने क्या क्या किया है, जहां भी उन्होंने भला करने की कोशिश की वहां भला कुछ नहीं हुआ है। और जब हम उस कंट्री के एग्जाम्पल देखते हैं तो सबसे पहला चीज हम यही सोचेंगे कि कभी वो दिन ना आए हमारे लिए कि वो हमारा भला चाहें। एंड हिस्ट्री रही है वहां पे, इवन इंदिरा गांधी के टाइम में जब कांग्रेस गवर्नमेंट ही थी, और व्हेन थिंग्स वर गोइंग बिटवीन इन बांग्लादेश और पाकिस्तान वाला, उस वक्त भी वेस्ट का क्या रवैया था हमारे तरफ, वो सब हमें अपनी हिस्ट्री भी पता होनी चाहिए। उसी वेस्ट की तरफ जाकर के झोला फैलाना और ये कहना कि इंटरवेंशन या ये हमारा बैटल नहीं है, आई फाइंड इट इज, वी कांट कंपेयर दैट विद द मोदी स्पीच जो उनका स्पीच था। मुझे नहीं लगता कि दोनों सेम है।
Chaliye, lastly, my words and then Amana and then Abhijit could wrap up. Personally, I thought Bharat Jodo Yatra was a novel, decent, good. It had a good vibe to it, you know, covering the most diverse country on the planet by foot, and he met a lot of people. And I personally didn't think, you know, it was अच्छा था. It was a good concept, whoever thought of it, and it made him bond with people. It gave a good image also actually to him. But it seems that he's just undone whatever little gains, if at all any gains were there. And yeah, I agree with Abhijit that you don't cross that line when it comes to the integrity of India, you know, the sovereignty of it. The rest, yeah, ठीक है. I mean, he has his view as, and India deserves a better opposition. Amna, you?
मुझे तो थोड़ी सी भारत जोड़ो यात्रा से प्रॉब्लम थी, बिकॉज उस यात्रा में ऐसा था कि हिंदू साइड से लिबरल लोग आ रहे थे और मुस्लिम साइड से हिजाब वाले लोग लिए जा रहे थे, तो व्हाट काइंड ऑफ कॉम्बिनेशन इज दैट? सो आई डोंट अंडरस्टैंड दिस काइंड ऑफ भारत जोड़ो यात्रा जो
वही
हमेशा
तो कांग्रेस का आइडिया ऑफ इंडिया है.
एग्जैक्टली, सो वहीं पे खत्म हो जाता है मेरे लिए।
Right. Abhijit, your last words and we'll wrap it up.
Look, my last words is Rahul was, is, and will always remain a joke, except at that time where the joke becomes dangerous. This was the first time in 8 years, 9 years, that he's made himself remotely relevant in terms of a threat to the BJP in asking for foreign intervention. But outside of that, other than, you know, being a temporary Mir Jafar or a Jaichand, let's just face it, the boy is irrelevant. And as long he's the biggest threat to democracy in India, because as long as he's around, the opposition will remain weak. For the opposition to grow in India, Rahul Gandhi needs to go.
You know, you're speaking with such passion, and I wanted to end this, but I'm tempted to ask you another question. He says that media, right? There are these huge sections of media which are friendly to the ruling power, right? Which we understand, right? Is there some merit in that? Like, it's not even now.
Look, at what point of time did we think the media was doing altruism? They go by profit. People don't want to hear your speeches. What do? I mean, look at the market. You know, NDTV has 10 million subscribers on YouTube. But you look at the video engagement of each video, it's pathetically low. Okay, so you look at the market share in the English thing. Republic and Times now, between them, share 80% of the market. Even India today has had to become progressively more right-wing in order to retain market share.
Sorry, I want to get you on that, playing devil's advocate, that the perception or whatever, maybe the truth is that they are friendly towards the current regime, and hence they mock him. They are not objective towards the ruling. So I want to get you on that.
But you tell me, Khalid, by what stretch of the imagination will people take Rahul Gandhi seriously? You know, ultimately, there is a saying, don't question editorial slant. If the editorial slant is, we want to make profit and this is what sells, you give the people what they want, which is actually being backed up by the electorate, by the way. I mean, the BJP seems to be winning everywhere. So, boss, I mean, you look at it from any point of view. Is there editorial freedom in this country? Yes or no? लोग आके बोल रहे हैं मेरे से, oh, we wanted to cover this story, but we are not able to cover it. भाई resign करके जाओ, अपना खोलो. I mean, if there's a market for this, then there should have been 100 YouTube channels that have come, each of them having 100 million viewers, no? रवीश के भी आजकल कितने सब्सक्राइबर्स हैं? 3.54 million, something like that. 3.5 million.
Okay.
But his views are only about 1.1 million per video. Imagine a person like, who's that fellow who, Carrie Minati, has 21 million followers. And his USP is just to say BCMC on YouTube.
India's
Imagine
most famous
Carrie
YouTuber.
Minati has a higher engagement rate and this thing than Ravish Kumar. What does that tell you about the state of the country? Rahul is seeing what he wants to see. That is his opinion. There's nothing you can do about it.
Okay. Fine. On that interesting note, we will end this show. And thank you, Abhijit. All right. Bye bye. Take care. And hope to see you soon. Thank you so much.